Hello, my amazing children. This is Grandma Carla, and we are back with the last chapter of the stories of the Pilgrims. And I really enjoyed this book. It's by Margaret B. Pumphrey, and it has been a real neat journey to think back to how the Pilgrims lived in the early stages of this country. Last chapter, Holy Days. For the Puritans, the Sabbath began at sunset on Saturday, and no child could play after the sunset gun was heard. The evening was spent in reading the Bible and learning verses from it. As Saturday evening approached, Hope ran to her bed to get her doll named Mary Ellen. Presently, her mother came in and said, "This is the Sabbath now, Hope. You must not play with your doll on the Sabbath." So Hope kissed her baby and carried it into the bedroom to find a safe, warm place for it to stay until the next evening. There lay her father's Sunday coat. What cozier nest could she find for Mary Ellen than its big pocket? Early Sunday morning, Mistress Brown came to the children's bed and awakened them. "Get up, little girls," she said. "This is the Lord's day, and we must not waste it in bed." After breakfast, the family had prayers, after which they did such work as must be done, and then dressed for meeting. Master Brown filled the little tin foot stove with hot coals from the hearth. Then he took down his gun from its hook and looked to see if it was ready for use. In those days, no man went anywhere without his gun, not even to church, for the Indians were likely to come at any time. Rub-a-dub-dub, rub-a-dub-dub. Is that a call to arms? Are the Indians around? Oh no, that is only the drummer calling the people to church. There were no bells on the first meeting houses in New England. Sometimes the firing of a gun was the call to worship. More often, a big drum, beaten on the steps of the meeting house, told the people it was time to come together. At the sound of the drum, Master Brown and his wife, with Elizabeth, Hope, and Aunt Faith, started to church. From every house in the village came men, women, and children. They were always ready when the drum began to beat. It was not the custom to be late to meeting, and as for staying away, one had to be very ill indeed to do that. Elizabeth saw her dear friend Mary just ahead of her. Do you suppose she skipped along to speak to her, or walked to meeting by her side? No, indeed. The Sabbath day is not the time for light talk, her mother told her. When the meeting house was reached, Master Brown led his family to their pew. He opened a little door to let them in. The pew was much like a large box with seats around the sides. Each Puritan family had their own boxed pew with their name listed on the outside of the pew. The church was very cold, for there was no fire, but the children warmed their toes and fingers by the strange little foot stove their father had brought from home. They all sat together at one side of the church or on the pulpit stairs. When all the people were in their seats, the minister climbed the steps to his high pulpit. Only a few people had hymn books. The minister read 2 lines of the hymn, and they all sang them to some well-known tune. Then he read 2 more lines, and they sang them, and so on until they sang all the verses. Hope enjoyed singing the hymns. She stood up on the footstool at her father's side and sang with all her might. Often there was another service in the afternoon. At sunset, the Puritan Sabbath ended. Then the women brought out their knitting or spinning or prepared for Monday's washing, and the children were free to play until bedtime. These Puritan families enjoyed real peace and liberty, for true Christian liberty is not the freedom to live as we please, but the power to live as God requires. Yes, happy is that people whose God is the Lord. Okay, so that is a Bible verse. Okay, so here, let's look at the pictures. And this first one says, from every house in the village came men, women, and children. So there they are all coming to the church meeting to be together and worship the Lord. And then here's a picture of little Hope, and she finally gets a chance to play with her doll. After the Sabbath day is over, she gets to pull her doll back out again. And that is the end of the Stories of the Pilgrims by Margaret B. Pumphrey, and that is definitely a book well worth reading. We have enjoyed it. It's taken us a good bit of our school year to get through, but we've read the stories and enjoyed it a lot. And hope you did too. This is Grandma Carla, and I love you.